Good morning. It's Wednesday, the 30th of November. It's Esther Kidd with you again this morning. Today is St Andrew's Day, our patron saint in Scotland. In last week's reflection, Isabel told you lots of facts about St Andrew and how he is not only the patron saint of Scotland, but in quite a few other countries. So I'm going to start off today with a wee quiz to see if you were all paying attention last week. Oh no, I can hear some of you saying or thinking. It's only 5 questions and very easy if you were paying attention. Here goes. What is the date of St George's Day in Georgia? Number 2. What was Andrew's brother's name? Number 3. When did Andrew officially become patron saint of Scotland? And number 4. Which of Andrew's body parts were destroyed during the Scottish Reformation? And number 5. When did Pope Paul donate relics to Scotland? And I'll give you the answers at the end. So here are a quick few facts that Isabel perhaps didn't mention. The name Andrew is a Greek name meaning manly, brave and strong. He was a disciple who features in the story of the loaves and the fishes and the feeding of the 5,000. It is believed that the Apostle Andrew was crucified on a saltire, an X-shaped cross, hence the name St Andrew's Cross. He is said to have told his executioners that he was not worthy to be crucified on the same cross style as Jesus and persuaded them to alter the shape. If this is true, it's a remarkable example of stoicism displayed by a man no doubt beaten and starved, yet retaining the mental energy to plead such a thing with his brutal executioners. Detailed records of his crucifixion only date back to the Middle Ages, and these records are influenced by the imagination of the medieval artists. But even if the origin is a myth, the cross shape reminds Christians that they should exercise humility. It wasn't until the 18th century, however, that St Andrew's Day began to be celebrated as an annual event. The tradition actually started overseas in the United States, when a group of wealthy Scottish immigrants in Charleston, South Carolina, wishing to reconnect with their Scottish roots and promote St Andrew's philanthropic ideals, set up the St Andrew Society of Charleston in 1729. Not only did they begin the tradition of celebrating on the 30th of November, they became famous in the area for their protection of widows and orphans, and similar Scottish societies were soon established across the United States. But never one to pass up an opportunity for a good shindig, Scotland wasn't far behind their American kin. Today, St Andrew's Day is an official bank holiday in the motherland and is usually marked across the country with a grand celebration of Scottish culture, featuring traditional recitations, cuisine, haggis, tatties and neeps, and sticky toffee pudding, and of course, a rollicking ceilidh. Well, how do we celebrate this day in Scotland? I've read quite a few comments which say we don't really celebrate St Andrew's Day in many parts of Scotland with much enthusiasm. However, some of the bigger cities have winter festivals which start around St Andrew's Day, and so I'll briefly describe some of them to you. But nearest to home in Dundee, at the weekend starting the 27th, 26th November, Dundee hosted the Dundee Hoolie. And if any of you get the Courier, I'm sure you would have seen in Monday's Courier a wee piece about the Dundee Hoolie in Dundee. It was the first ever Dundee Hoolie kicked off on Saturday evening, with crowds flocking to the city centre to join in. The event has been set up as an early celebration of St Andrew's Day to celebrate the torchlit parade representing St Andrew's values of kindness and welcome, finished in the city square, where a ceilidh band turned the square into a giant party. There were some celebrations in Perth at the weekend as well. I don't have many details of that, but the Provost of Perth and Kinross delivered the St Andrew's Day message. But some of the bigger cities celebrate, and it's really the start of what they describe as a winter festival. And you can find lots, lots of pieces about these festivals on Google. Google is a great friend. So the Saltire Festival, held in East Lothian, started as well. The Saltire Festival is an annual celebration bringing you the very best of Scottish entertainment, from traditional to modern music, and from film screenings featuring Scottish stars of stage and screen to celebrations of Scotland's rich cuisine and much more. So they had lots of things going on down in East Lothian, a theatre in Musselburgh called the Brunton hosted a screening of a film, My Old School, which featured Alec Cumming, about a tale of a grown man who passes himself off as a pupil at Glasgow School. And so there were lots of things going on in East Lothian. Councillor John McMillan, Cabinet spokesperson for Environment, Economic Development and Tourism, said, "It's great to see the Saltire Festival returning with a full programme of events this year, and I'm sure there will be something to suit all tastes, from film buffs to foodies and music lovers." And so it went on. Glasgow as well feature a torchlit parade, which has become innovative and imaginative for the community. And the event is part of Scotland's Winter Festival programme, managed by Event Scotland. Part of Visit Scotland's Events Directorate, and aims to encourage more people to celebrate Scotland's National Patron Saint Day. In 2019, over 1,000 people participated in the torchlit parade, and many hundreds more lined the streets to cheer it on St Andrew's Day. And if we go to Oban, St Andrew's weekend starts off their winter festival, and the festival takes place mainly in the centre of the town, which is easy to get to, and there are various literary, language, cinema, music and theatrical events throughout the festival, offering a chance to learn, participate and celebrate our culture. So these are just a few of the celebrations that go on throughout the different regions of Scotland. But there is a lot of folklore associated with St Andrew's Day, particularly around young women. At midnight on the 20th of November, as it becomes 30th November, young women prayed to be shown signs about their future husbands. They peeled an apple, keeping the peel as one piece, threw it over their shoulders, and the shape formed on the ground indicated the first letter of their future husband's name. They also dropped molten lead. I did wonder where they got the molten lead from, or candle wax into a bucket of water. The shape form indicated the profession of the man they would marry. And so to recap about St Andrew, St Andrew, who is believed to have later preached around the shores of the Black Sea, was an agile and hardy Galilean fisherman whose name means strong and who also had good social skills. He brought the first foreigners to meet Jesus and shamed a large crowd of people into sharing their food with the people beside them. So today, we might describe him as the patron saint of social networking. Oh, right. Before I finish, I will give you the answers to the quiz. So, what was the date of St Andrew's Day in Georgia? It was the 23rd of November. What was Andrew's brother called? He was called Peter, later known as Simon Peter. When did Andrew officially become patron saint of Scotland? That was in 1320 with the Declaration of Arbroath. Now, which parts of Andrew were destroyed during the Reformation? There was a tooth, a kneecap, an arm, and finger bones. And in 1969, Pope Paul donated relics. So to finish, I'd like to read you a couple of verses from a poem written by a lady called Jean Blewett. She was a journalist in Canada and her parents were Scottish immigrants. Wha cares if the skies be dull and grey? Wha heeds November weather? Let ilka Scot be glad today, the whole wide world together. Here's to the auld hame far away, while tender mists do bind us. We'll pledge on this St Andrew's Day the land we left behind us. So, wherever you are in the world, raise a glass this November 30th to St Andrew and to the richness and generosity of Scottish culture everywhere. Have a good week, everyone, and take care and stay warm.